Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. This is an attack on the Houthi rebels from the US military. It's a clear statement that the Houthi rebels are now zeroed in on. They are a terrorist organization that the US is saying, we are taking all the handcuffs off and we are bringing the big stick. And that looks to me like a 2,000-pound bomb. Recently, an F-16 was targeted off the coast of Yemen. And if an F-16 is involved, this conflict has risen to a new level. So these strikes aren't just being done with carrier strike groups, with F-18s launching off of these aircraft carriers, Tomahawk missiles being shot from these battle groups, but it's now the Air Force being involved. And when the Air Force gets involved, you start to get to a higher level of coordination. So you're gonna need tankers, because obviously the places that these aircraft are gonna land are not gonna be carriers. The F-16s, F-15Es, they're going to need to go to an airfield. Now, there's been reports of airfields even in Yemen being used by the US military. That's not confirmed, but there are all kinds of different options around that area. You've got Qatar, UAE. You've got areas where US F-16s, US F-15Es can get to this conflict relatively quickly with the use of tankers. So tankers are going to extend their range essentially indefinitely, as long as you can have those tankers in safe airspace, which ideally they're going to get them 1 to 2 different refuelings. So maybe one getting to the battle and then one getting back would be ideal. But there might be situations like going through certain corridors where they're going to need multiple. So having F-16s involved, in this specific F-16 being targeted, we're going to talk about what weapon likely targeted the F-16 and how did the Houthi rebels get a weapon that could actually target an F-16. And all the reports have said an F-16, but as a former F-16 fighter pilot myself, the F-16 is never going to operate single ship. The F-15E will not operate single ship. The F-15E really likes 2 ships, 4 ships as well, but you can really make some things happen with a 2-ship of F-15Es just based on the sheer amounts of arsenal that thing can carry. But with an F-16, just what it can carry, you're going to want a 4-ship so that you have options for the combatant commanders, for the folks on the ground that are shaping this conflict. You're going to want 4 so that you can really take out SAMs. You can take out strategic targets on the ground, missile batteries. You can kind of see where these missile batteries are. Doing SEED, which is suppression of enemy air defenses. So sending in these F-16s first to then take down the air defenses is going to allow the F-18s to roll in and operate and strike these areas in a whole different fashion. And a lot of times what I've seen with F-18s is they will carry 500-pound bombs, multiple 500-pound bombs. They obviously have the ability to carry 2,000-pound bombs, likely one, but the weight on these F-18s needs to stay low so that they can take off from the carrier, and then they're going to come back to the carrier, obviously, so they have to have the ability to not carry as much arsenal as what like an F-15E would carry. That's why it makes me think, seeing these strikes in Yemen, that big of a strike, makes me think possibly F-35s involved with 2,000-pound bombs, F-15Es involved with 2,000-pound bombs. The F-15E can carry multiple 2,000-pound bombs. The loadout that we would carry in Afghanistan would be a 2,000-pound bomb on the center line, 500-pound bombs on the sides. So you've got really a lot of options to make things happen. But at the end of the day, the size of these explosions that's happening, it's clear to me that there might be some assets involved that we don't quite know about yet, and we'll see how that evolves as we move forward. Now I want to talk about the actual weapon that was likely used against the F-16. Let's talk about the 358, the SAQR, the SAQR missile, which is from Iranian origin. Now, Iran has completely denied giving any of these weapons to the Houthi rebels, but it's clear through a lot of different sources that they have. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard is said to have smuggled a lot of these SAMs into the Houthi rebel areas through Kuwaiti waters. Kuwait denies that, but there's a lot of different ways that they could have done this, maybe disguising themselves as some other type of vessel, some sort of merchant vessel, or who knows, maybe using a submarine to get these weapons into the Houthi hands. And at the end of the day, they have been found being used by the Houthis. So the 358 SAQR, let's talk about that and what likely that engagement was like for that F-16 pilot and for that F-16 formation. So the 358 Sacker is unique because as a surface-to-air missile, a lot of times what you'll see are just fins on the back, maybe some just guides in the front, but this one has some pretty large fins in the front and in the back. The Houthis have used this 358 multiple different times to target drones, and any drones that have been taken down by the Houthis, US drones, were likely taken down by this 358. It's probably the most proliferated SAM, according to a few different sources, and the fact that it's given to them from Iran, Iran's produced thousands of these things, so getting them to the Houthi rebels would not be too far of a stretch. So open sources have said this 358 can likely reach out to 100 kilometers. So an aircraft flying within 50 miles or so of this maybe could be targeted, but ideally these F-16s that were flying in the vicinity of this are essentially trying to be lit up by these radars, are trying to get seen so they can find out where these surface-to-air radars are and where these missile batteries are so they can track them, take them out, and then pave the way for F-18s to come in behind them. So the fact that this thing was shot at the F-16, it might not have been an accident or it might not have been a surprise to that formation, depends on what their mission actually was. But the F-16's got a lot of different abilities to outmaneuver this thing. I mean, a clean F-16, if a missile like this is coming at you, you're likely gonna punch off any external wing tanks that you have, and then you're gonna do certain classified maneuvers that are gonna get you outside of the flight envelope or put you in a position where this missile has no more maneuvering velocity to come in and hit you. So that's something that you're going to think about as that F-16 formation. You're also going to get separation from each other so you're not all in one little tight group, makes you harder to target. And then there's all kinds of different electronic countermeasures that the F-16 is going to use to defeat a missile like this. I mean, a missile like this going up against the countermeasures that an F-16 has, it's really no competition. So at the end of the day, it's kind of like an NFL quarterback, going up against a defensive line from a JV football team in high school. It's going to be over before, the whistle even blows. So at the end of the day, going up against this 358 is something that these F-16 pilots are going to have trained for. They're going to have worked through and stepped through the different processes of how they're going to defeat it. So the fact that it was shot at them is probably what the plan was. That would be my assumption. To get those weapons in the minds of those F-18 pilots so they know they're being taken care of, the path is clear. Now the F-18s can go in and schwack the certain specific targets that they were going after. A lot of the targets are going after the missile batteries, the radar sites, and then specific targeting of Houthi rebel commanders, command and control. So as you can see, this is being stepped up in a way that we really haven't seen before. So I feel like that F-16 formation did an incredible job. None of them were shot down. They were able to find out where that missile battery was. They were able to highlight where these weapons are going to be coming from. And that's just going to be a nice little trail to lead them to the next target that they can use in the next strike package the following night. I'll keep you updated as we go through this engagement with the Houthi rebels. Ideally, this doesn't escalate into something that becomes a larger conflict in the Middle East, and we're able to just send a strong, clear message to the Houthi rebels, which seems like that's what the Trump administration is trying to do. And also, hey, let's build a little bit of negotiating room with Iran. So right now there's nuclear deals being negotiated with Iran. So Iran's seeing that, hey, we're going to schwack all these little proxy armies that you've created and propped up. And it's just a message to you that we can do the same. That's what I think is being done here. And the fact that the ROE seems to be coming down, the rule of engagement is coming down with these large weapons going off in city centers, is just a highlight that things are going to ramp up. Things are going to escalate in the air war. And I think potentially bringing in bigger assets, something we might see is F-15Es, F-16s, if they're not already there. So ultimately, this 358 Sacker, not really a competitor for any US Western fighters that are going to be going up against it. It's got a 50-kilogram warhead. It does use a turbojet engine, and it employs 10 kilograms of high explosive frag as it hits whatever target it's going after. So likely these things may take down some drones, but going up against a fighter with good reaction and electronic countermeasures, it's really going to be not a competition at all. Thanks for watching the video, guys. If you would, please subscribe to the channel. I'll keep you updated as this story develops. We'll see you on the next video.